I was wondering if you could tell me about what you've seen and what has impressed you or not with the recent, use of social media by groups like ISIS. It's one thing I remember noticing when, Al Qaeda moved into Yemen. They started doing some very interesting things. They were producing like an English language monthly magazine that was produced by, I think, an American or ex-American. I forgot the name of it.
Inspire?
Yeah, Inspire. What a great name like that. I could never get a copy of that.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't go onto tour or something.
Yeah,
but it was
yeah.
an amazing, it was like a magazine and they were encouraging
Awesome.
people. But ISIS seems to have really taken that to the next level. What do you see when you see their use of social media?
I'm torn on this question because on the one hand, there's no doubt that they have worked out pretty quickly how useful social media is as a way of propagating their message. Yeah, they're very, very smart at using Twitter. They've worked out how you get subject matter trending. They've built their own apps. They use far more than just Twitter. They will use a range of different platforms. They use Tor browsers as well. They use, open source encryption software. And they do this in quite a coordinated way sometimes, and sometimes in a very clever decentralized way, so that anybody can contribute to the sort of jihadist noise online.
Right.
Now, that's all rather impressive. It's certainly a step forward for the Islamist movements, although Al-Qaeda, like you say, they've always been looking for ways to exploit modern communications. And actually, this is why I'm torn, because it is often those extremist groups who are quick to pick up on new technology. It's the far-right group, the English Defence League or the British National Party, that are miles ahead of the big political parties at how to exploit Facebook to organise demonstrations, miles ahead of them. I would say that the Labour Party could learn a thing or two from how the British National Party has gamified its social media content to create competition between users about who can share the best content. We're talking about pretty smart stuff here. Now, the other thing, though, that slightly prickles me when I hear it, that these ISIS operatives are social media geniuses. They're like Shoreditch advertising types. I'm afraid that is not completely true, because what they are doing is actually pretty standard stuff for anybody in their 20s from the Western world. And that is who these people are. They're young men. They're young men in their 20s, most of them. For goodness sake, if they haven't worked out that to get stuff trending on Twitter, you use a popular hashtag like iPhone 6, then on what planet have you been living, for goodness sake? So obviously these guys know what they're doing. They're men in their 20s. How would they not? Building an app is pretty simple for these people. What's surprising is I think the journalists of our time, the government officials of our time, they have no clue. So they're looking down at ISIS thinking these people are geniuses, while everybody else in their 20s is thinking, well, they're just doing what the rest of us are doing. There's no surprise there.
Right. They're almost an ultimate startup, aren't they? They're using whatever resources they can on a very low budget, and so they use the media and the social media, whereas these other established brands, they have news channels, they have...
Yeah, but they're doing stuff that a lot of people are doing. They've built an app. Wow, right. My goodness, genius. They've built an app. Anyone can build an app these days. It's incredibly simple. Kids are building apps. So in a sense, all this is to me is this sort of distance between young people who know what they're doing with technology. ISIS are no different. And I suppose the older generation looking at them, feeling rather terrified that they have seemingly this sort of remarkable talent for modern technology.
What we call reality is in fact nothing more than a culturally sanctioned and linguistically reinforced hallucination.
This week on London Real, we have Edward Snowden's attorney, Jessalyn Raddick.
Edward Snowden made the only choice he could make, which was to go outside of the United States to blow the whistle. What we're going through now, people should be marching in the streets over what NSA is doing. There has been so much fear-mongering by the government that they've been able to create an entire surveillance state.
And former NSA executive turned whistleblower Thomas Drake.
What I was blowing the whistle on was government illegality, violations of the Constitution, massive fraud, waste, and abuse and wrongdoing. This was raw power. This is the government saying, you know what? 9/11 is our excuse. We're just going to get the data. I was facing 30, 35 years plus in prison.
To send a chilling message.
To whom?
To other whistleblowers, to others in the government.
If you dare hold up a mirror to the government, if you dare speak truth to power or of power, we're going to hammer you and hammer you good.
On Sunday, London Real presents Jesselyn Raddick and Thomas Drake, NSA whistleblower.
We just don't do this to Americans. That's why we had an American Revolution.